Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey Sister, how you doing? Wait a minute, this light did get kind of funky on us. Yeah.
Can you
Okay.
hear us okay, PA?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay. It is the Christmas Eve, the eve of the birth of the baby Jesus. How about that? Why are you laughing, sister?
Oh, because it's so hot outside. But I guess this is
Uh-huh.
how it was in Bethlehem.
It was like that in Bethlehem.
Okay,
And
now it lit up again. I don't know what's happening.
something's going on, honey, with the electricity and the streaming of the light power and whatever. So
Oh, it's all good.
I don't know.
Oh.
We don't know if anybody's gonna tune in or watch us or be with us this evening, but we here, and what we want you to do is like, follow, share, and subscribe. Make sure that you are getting in the conversations with Hey Sister, and also share this with someone who might have an interest in having these kind of deep philosophical conversations with a little bit of fun and flair. Because, of course, Hey Sisters is for sisters, by sisters, about sisters and misters. That is who we are. That is what we do. And yeah, so, sister,
Yes.
we are coming to the end of 2023. We're coming to the end of another year. And
This was yours?
that is my water.
Okay,
Thank you
might
very
want
much.
that just to stay
Hydrated.
Mhm.
Okay, yes. But tonight's episode we have titled Stop Playing in Our Face. Okay? It is the most wonderful time of the year, but some of y'all have been acting the worst
The entire year.
the entire year. And we just not gonna carry foolishness over into 2024.
But I feel like we say that every year.
Listen, other people might carry it, but I'm not carrying it.
Okay, yes.
So stop playing in our face.
This is certainly about an individual choice and decision.
However, it is always about
Give me
the
that water.
choices that we make. Okay?
Yes.
So there's so much that's been happening in the world of entertainment, in the world of the news, and we really need folks to stop playing in our face as we get ready to go into 2024. Okay?
Agreed.
Agreed? All right. So let's get into this.
Or let's say this,
Mhm.
because of course we always talk about our Sunday school lesson. We want people to stop playing in our faces going into 2024. However, if they should continue to try, it is incumbent upon us to shut that down.
Let's shut it down. So tonight we're gonna do some shutting.
Let's shut.
Let's shut. Close it up.
Okay.
All right. So let's get into the first topic that we have tonight. We are going tomorrow to see bam, The Color Purple. Yes, it is opening on Christmas Day. We are so looking forward. We are planning on going to the first show in the morning because we are going to have our Christmas dinner at lunchtime. So we're going to be on the first thing smoking to see The Color Purple as a family. Now, I've already seen it in a pre-screening of the movie. I think it is phenomenal. I know many have seen it in a pre-screening. And we even participated in a Zoom call with Oprah and our sorority, other sororities and community organizations, churches, and whomever, all people over the world. There were like 66,000 people on this call earlier this week as we talked about it. And so the first thing in terms of stop playing in our face, you know, when Oprah broke down, because she was a producer this time around,
yes,
as well as lending her name as Oprah Winfrey Presents, right? But she was a producer on this movie. And when Oprah talked about how she had to fight with Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers is the distributor, they are the studio that is funding this production and helping bring this story to life. And so when Oprah said how she had to fight, How she had to go back and forth?
Again, I mean, so apropos for The Color Purple, all her life
She had to
fight.
all her life. She had to fight. And once again, so when I got off that call, I was inspired, I was motivated, encouraged, but I also was perturbed because I called my sister and I was like, if Oprah's still having to fight and justify to whomever powers that be, y'all gonna stop playing in our face and talking about the power, our dollars, the impact of Black people, Black music, Black culture, Black experience. Because what we know is that our story is a universal story of humanity. And so please stop playing with us and making people fight to bring their art to life when you green like trash every damn day. Stop it.
Well, I think, thank you closing that up. I think what was amazing, like you said, we were on this call and there were some moments where Oprah was, listen, this is one thing I love about Oprah. If she needs to put on a tear, she can put on a tear. She can needs to put on a smile, she can put on a smile. As a businesswoman, as an executive, as a media personality, and as an actress, let's say what it is. She has learned how to master those emotions and to do those things in the public sphere. But there was certainly some moments where she was clearly overcome with emotion.
Because it was the ugly cry. It wasn't the,
Right. She dabbed at first. And then the dabbing, she just had to put her hand in her face and actually cry. And one of the things that she said is because, again, going in with these executives and having to explain that Black people would come out for The Color Purple. Now, the thing that's so interesting to me is this is what, the fourth iteration, fifth, we could say. So we started with a book. We had Steven Spielberg's production of The Color Purple. We've had, I think,
Steven Spielberg, Quincy Jones.
Right. I think we've had two
Broadway adaptations, iterations.
Two iterations on Broadway, and now another film. And for there to be question about whether or not this project, this work could be successful, that's playing in your face in the first place, right there. Because like you said, there are things that have been greenlit that have absolutely no cultural relevance. We are still, I always say with the little girl Ruby, right? So who Oprah brought to the red carpet, to the purple carpet, the purple carpet, excuse me, for the premiere. And this child clearly was never born when that first.
She's like 8 years old.
Right. And for her to portray the dinner table scene and with the tape on the eye and all the things. And Niecy Nash saw it and she shared it with Oprah Winfrey, and Oprah then brought this young lady. That tells you something about the impact of this kind of film. And so for there to have been any discussion, it should have just been like, yes, Miss Oprah, how much should we write the check for?
How much do y'all need?
Yes, let us make this. How many locations do you need it in? There should have been no questions. But instead, she had to convince them that she could create a campaign, that she could get the Black leadership of organizations and churches and things behind it. And that's one of the things she's also said on the call. And I think we may have mentioned that last week. I don't remember exactly when the call was now, but we mentioned that it was mentioned that she said she had told them, I think we can get 1,000 people on a call and these Black leaders and organizations. And she ended up with 66,000 people. And that was with what, like 24 hours notice? I don't even remember getting a whole lot of advance notice about it.
It was a couple days that week I had gotten it dropped on me. Yeah.
I missed it. So it was a quick turnaround. I mean, we've been doing Hey Sister now for 6 years.
A while.
6 years.
Yeah.
So we haven't really gotten 1,000 people. So, I mean, that tells you the power of Sister Oprah.
Absolutely. Well, I will also say, we're going to transition into this conversation about Taraji P. Henson. And so continuing the conversation about stop playing in our faces. What I want us to do is stop allowing others to pit us against one another. Stop playing in our face. So Taraji did an interview on the Gayle King show. And she was there with the director of The Color Purple, as well as Danielle Brooks, who also stars in the movie as well. And she was asked a question about her deciding to quit acting. And she talked about how working so hard and only getting a fraction. Now, we just told you Oprah had to go fight to get the movie made.
Right.
And all the funding that they needed. When you see the quality of the production, you're going to know, oh, yeah. Because you're working on the film right now. And you're like, oh, yeah, them coins. They start running up with editing and sound and music and lights and costume and makeup and hair. And probably having some counselors, the crew and counselors on set because of the emotion, the food, everything. That shit adds up. And so Taraji talked about, getting a fraction of what other get. And then, so now people and I guess she has had some other interviews but people are trying to conflate.
Yes.
Conflate. And they're trying to say, oh, Oprah is treating her wrong. And they're also trying to conflate that Oprah was doing these spotlights on all the actors in the show and saying, oh, she's trying to make up because Taraji's against her. So now she's doing this. That's not what is happening here, please. But Taraji is speaking to the fact that, and let's say it once again, Black women are not paid the same as their counterparts for doing the same job. We are paid 65 cents to the dollar of what white men get. Okay? Black men are paid less than white men. White women are paid less than white. That's how it starts going down this totem pole. It starts going down, 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 down. And so,
let's say ladder, because remember we learned
that down the ladder. But what Taraji is speaking to is that, to me, the bigger question, because like she said, it costs. It costs to be an entrepreneur. It costs to be an executive. If you are an executive in a corporate organization, you have to dress a certain way, present a certain way. You have to travel. There are things that you have to do that other of your counterparts' expenses, they do not incur. Just to walk in that room with confidence, right? Because you know all of the microaggressions, macroaggressions, and all the other BS that you're dealing with. So it costs. So even with you getting paid less, you're still having to spend more just to be in the room and have a seat at a table. So people are always talking about having a seat at the table, but this is what the reality of it having a seat at a table. And I think, to me, this was the larger thing that Taraji was speaking to, or how it landed with me and in my spirit. Now, you work in a corporate setting.
I do.
And they casual day ain't the way your casual day can look. Okay? And if you don't know that, you need to understand that that's what we're dealing with. Okay, I'm gonna let you go.
Okay, we gotta fix this situation here with this camera. So just give us a second.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if that helps. It was kind of dragging, a little slow.
Okay. Yes, we caught up. Told you. That was the issue for me. I think, these processors. Okay, anyway. So you said a lot. Like you said, Lovey, who we
Lovey
Ajay, who we very much love, is spoke to it as well. And she spoke to it in the sense of, even if Taraji Henson makes $1 million and you have a manager a business manager, an attorney, and an agent. That's all. That's 25% of your money right there. That's gone. That does, and then let's say you're at a certain tax bracket, right? So then you have taxes, and then you have those three business folks. That's 50% of your money gone right there. Then, if on top of that you have hair and makeup, because one thing that Black actresses specifically have said, and we know it even in corporate America, is the hair issue is a big thing. So on these sets, they don't necessarily always have, they've done better over the years, but historically they didn't always have people who were qualified to do Black people's hair
or makeup.
Tracy
Ellis Ross was interviewed the other day, and she was like, her mom still does her own makeup. Now Diana Ross been doing this shit a long time,
right?
And her mom still does her own makeup because they didn't have people to do their makeup.
Right.
They didn't have color matching.
Right.
And so that they actually could look and be their best.
Right. Right. And that's also where the advent of a lot of these hair wigs and weaves came from as well, because rather than run the risk of having somebody burn your hair out of your head, which some have said has happened, they put on wigs, weaves, what have you. So when you take all of those costs into consideration, because you have to pay your people to do your hair, your makeup, your styling, all of that. And then this is the other part is,
and that's entertainment business.
And if you are not at a certain level, you also don't have access to health insurance and things like that. So it is definitely this idea, and that's what I thought the writer's strike and the actor's strike would expose, but perhaps it still hasn't, because we're having this conversation about whether Oprah is trying to undercut Taraji when Taraji is just speaking out of an overall issue. But I thought the writer's strike and the actor's strike would underscore that everybody is not a multimillionaire. Just because you see George Clooney or Leonardo DiCaprio and notice two white men, the rest, there's a vast majority of people in entertainment who don't rise to that level.
The average pay of a working actor is, I think, about $30,000-$40,000 a year, which is the average pay of an American.
But the difference is, and as somebody who lived in Los Angeles and in Hollywood and North Hollywood, is the difference. It's the expenses, and it's the perception. Because again, you are in entertainment. You have to be in front of the camera. See how bad this lighting looks right now? You have to have all the things.
Because we're traveling and we don't have all the things.
Right. And even when you're podcasting or whatever, you have to have all the things. And that takes money. So that being said, stop playing in our faces. Stop pitting these two very powerful and important Black women against each other. Because let's just say, let's throw it out there. Let's just say there is an issue between the two of them. Perhaps there is. Don't none of us know it for real. Because don't none of us, unless you know Taraji specifically, unless you know Oprah specifically, and Oprah's circle definitely seems very tight, we don't know it. So let's stop making the assumption that there's an issue between the two of them, and instead say Taraji was speaking out on an issue that cuts across all industries.
Amen.
And Oprah Winfrey spoke about that same issue, but from her seat.
Yes.
See, Taraji spoke about it from her seat as an actress, and Oprah spoke about it from her seat as a producer and a filmmaker. That you have to go out here and fight for these dollars. Fight for the story that you want to tell to be told.
Amen.
Not the story that they allow you to tell.
Amen. And there's a whole movie out there coming out that just dropped, American Fiction, in select theaters. Another movie that's talking about that topic.
Right.
The stories you want to tell versus the story they allow to be told.
Right.
Boy, stop playing in our face. Now let's go to this next. We have the video from Taraji, the interview. Now this is what the gag is to me on all of this. Do you think Taraji was talking about Oprah on the Gayle King show? I don't know who the hell, how y'all invented this shit.
Well, like I said,
You think Taraji was talking about Oprah on the
Right.
Gayle King show on
Right.
Sirius XM? I don't think so, boo. Y'all need to know who was interviewing her. Okay.
But I think there was, like I said, another article. Again, I don't even know another panel, and I don't even know that this was
This year.
Yeah, how recent it was. But she says it. I almost had to walk away from The Color Purple. She didn't say that it was because Oprah specifically had done something. She said she almost had to walk away because the math probably wasn't mathing. And the math wasn't mathing because the studio wasn't trying to give up the money. They probably were like, yeah, you can have, if we got Fantasia, do we really need a Taraji? Like, that's how they would play folks.
Right.
And they can have 10, you can have Al Pacino and Robert De Niro in a movie. But when it comes to saying a Taraji Henson and a Fantasia Barrino Taylor and a Danielle Brooks, and that's just the women, right?
That's not all the women either.
And that's not all the women, because we had the little mermaid up in there too.
Halle.
And so when they started saying, they would probably be like, can we just trade this person out? Like, do we have to have that one? So it's a bigger issue. And like you said, people are conflating it because there were multiple interviews.
Yes.
And they just trying to string them together.
And create a narrative that pits us against one another.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, stop playing in our face.
And stop pitting us
against each other. Now let's go to this equal pay, because this is, again, part of this story, Equal Pay Day. And I wanted to bring it to Equal Pay Day. And I can't remember when Equal Pay Day.
It's like in August.
So for
Black women.
For Black women.
Yes.
And so basically, and this speaks to this larger point.
I think for women, it's March.
It's women. It's March. Right?
Yeah. But for Black women, it's usually August. And for
so,
Hispanic women, I think it's September.
And what that means is, so when you see Equal Pay Day, it's not a celebration, y'all.
Wait, people putting up memes to celebrate?
People think it's like, oh, it's Equal Pay Day. We've arrived to Equal Pay Day. It's not a celebration. So let's tell you what Equal Pay Day is and what Equal Pay Day is all about. Equal Pay Day is the number of days it would take for you, as said descriptor, Black woman, white woman, Black man, Hispanic woman, the number of days it would take you to work. So if there's 365 days in a year, the number of work days it would take for you to make equal pay to a white male in the same job.
Right.
So it means the other factors are level set. The job description, your qualifications. So let's just take all of that.
So let's use as an example, because 2024 is coming up. So January 1st is typically a holiday in the United States of America if you work in the United States of America. So let's start on January 2nd. On January 2nd, your white male counterpart is making X amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
So how many days will it take for you, as like you said, descriptor, to meet that mark?
Mm-hmm.
And for women, it's usually
actually
April,
for 2024, it will be April 9th.
And that'll be for, I think, it just says national.
Mm-hmm.
So how far into the year women, yes, must work to earn what men earned in the previous year. There it is. Okay. So now, once you get to April, then sisters, we got to wait really till September, because remember, we get 65 cents on the dollar.
Right.
I think white women get 80 cents or something.
80, 85. So for 2023, Black women it was July 27th, 2023.
And it fluctuates.
Because it's from the previous year. Right?
And there's other factors.
Factors that contribute to
when your pay is equal.
But the bottom line is,
it ain't no celebration.
Stop playing in our face. And we all humans deserve equal and equitable pay for the same job with the same qualifications. I shouldn't need no extra qualifications. But that's where we are, because we are over highly educated and still underpaid. So we shouldn't need none of that.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't need none of that.
Right.
You shouldn't have to have an EGOT. So for those in the entertainment, if you've done the same work, it should be compensated the same. Period. Now, when we gonna get to that in humanity?
Never.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, y'all gonna stop playing in my face, because
we're never gonna get there, because at the end of the day,
girl, you gonna make me take a drink.
Taking it early.
I am, but she making me sip on it, because it's
because
what?
If you think about it, like, again. So remember when we fought so hard, not us because we weren't born yet, but when the fight was so strong and so hard for integration, and we wanted all things equal, and the ruling after integration basically came about because it was determined that separate but equal is inherently unequal, right? So we've been fighting for this. So now we got this integrated society, and I think my dad always talks about, for a few good years there it looked good. It looked good. And then it fell off again. And so then equality, it stops looking like you can't drink at this water fountain, or you can't use this public toilet. And it starts looking like you can't live in this neighborhood. Or if I let you live in this neighborhood, the terms of your loan are going to be significantly different than the terms of your neighborhood.
And that was just revealed about the Navy Federal Credit Union. I've been seeing all these advertisements during all these football games about Navy Federal Credit Union. I'm like, y'all just had a whole discrimination.
Yeah.
And they just, the latest in a line of many.
Right. And so when it comes to your loan terms, even if you have a college degree and your spouse has a college degree
and you have an 800 credit score,
your loan terms have been different from somebody who doesn't have that. Or it starts to look like when you go to sell your house, you got to take down all the pictures in your house and all the things that might suggest, or you have your white friends come over and pretend that it's their house. So the appraisal is higher. So when you say, when will we get to equal pay day? We always talk about women are now in the United States, the majority population of the United States. Women make up more of the population than men do. Which again goes back to the whole abortion debate, because they just want us to make more of them. But nonetheless, women make up more of the population than men do, but women still haven't embraced the power that comes with that. And so will we ever get to equal pay day? No, because the Jedi mind tricks are so real and so well done that you have men who have convinced women to fight against their own interest,
or they pit them against one another, and say, okay, well, we got the one, or they convince you that your qualifications are less than, right? Or that you need all of these extra things, but you start peeling back the layers and you're like, wait a minute, this person got a high school diploma and a certificate, and I'm over here trying to get a master's degree, and we get paid the same.
Or I might get paid less.
Get out of here.
Fudge out of here.
Stop playing in our face.
Yeah.
Stop playing in our face. And that is where we are. I think that is what Taraji was speaking to. I think that is what many women have been speaking to for a very, very long time. And we are not going to allow you to manipulate and or use and or separate us when we need to be coming together.
And one last thing about that, because we use the analogy of making having a seat at the table. And I know that Tyler Perry, amongst others, but have said, I stopped seeking out a seat at the table and built my own table. And that's a wonderful thing. But that's easier said than done in a lot of places and in a lot of ways. So whether if you may not be an actress or an actor, but if you do work in corporate America and you look around the proverbial table, I've done this myself, and I'm not even high up in an organization, but I looked around the proverbial table and I'm like, wow, there's nobody else who looks like me here. So when I have certain experiences like traveling overseas and feeling some microaggressions, and I feel like I have a responsibility. Yes, I have a responsibility to educate you. Maybe you don't take it, you take it with a grain of salt, you keep it going. But I have the responsibility of educating you, because what happens to the next woman that looks like me, or the next person that looks like me, I have it as an obligation when I see somebody who looks like me to be like, at least give the obligatory head nod. Now, that doesn't always translate in other countries. I've noticed that. But at the same time, I believe that it is my responsibility to acknowledge that other person. And so I say all that to say, if you look around the proverbial table and you're the only one there, that's a problem. And so you should be making a way for somebody else to have a seat.
And call it out, because that's what we talked about in our, as we said, our Sunday school lesson today. And so if you're the light, you need to say, you know what? I want a few more lights in here.
You need to shine the light in the dark places.
Shine your light in dark places and say that, because once the light is shown, now they might go into a cloakroom and shut you out, and that's what they do. Yeah. But you keep shining, and it will make the way. It will even just light a path for somebody else to follow.
Right.
And that's important as well. That's equally as important. Cool. But when you got folks who are beneficiaries of apartheid.
Yes. We're looking at you, Elon Musk.
I don't know why y'all still own that platform that is now known as X. I don't know why you even have a desire to own a vehicle that is called Tesla.
Make me drink the drink.
Drink the drink. I don't know why. Because this man, a beneficiary of apartheid,
literally, not like figuratively.
So family had the wealth because of who they were.
He's from South Africa. Okay. Yeah, we're not making up the beneficiary of apartheid. He is absolutely that.
So that person is having the audacity to talk about how we need to get rid of we need the death of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Like that other one who is running for the presidency again, making the statement about poisoning the blood of our country. Now, that's the thing that behooved me, as our boy would say. What had behooved me was, I think some indigenous people are like, you've already poisoned the blood of our country.
Likely.
Because that whole western part of the country was Mexico.
Right.
The Alamo was an insurrection too. I'm just saying. But Elon, if you want to keep playing, let him play in your face, and you want to continue to support the vehicles and the platforms, and the biggest support of him is the federal government for these space programs.
And that's where I was about to go.
Come on with it.
We as citizens, collectively,
taxpayers,
again, here we go with shining our light in dark places. I don't care what kind of technology he has. The technology is only as good as the people who work for him. And right now, I think people are tired of working for him in a lot of ways. They may get decent pay, but they also are treated poorly. So that's where we have to look at our federal government and say, why are you giving money to SpaceX? Let's bring NASA back. Let's pull some of that talent away from SpaceX and bring it back to NASA, because we're now paying somebody who is literally like
playing in our face.
But let's just go deeper. Is a bigot, is a racist, like I said, literal beneficiary of apartheid, who and maybe from an engineering standpoint, I'll give it to you. You have some engineering innovation that I would absolutely, but again, I think that at some point you might come up with some of the original ideas, but then
somebody puts that makes that come to life.
Yeah, and it's about the people that you hire and bring on board. But I am just he is so problematic to me. What he has done at X, formerly Twitter, shows like I'm still baffled at how much white men like him get to fail, and still people keep throwing money at their feet, throwing opportunity at their feet. I'm baffled by that because everybody else doesn't get that many chances. And if when you look at it, he ran X into the ground for sure. He keeps running his mouth. Tesla has taken a nosedive as well. Tesla stocks at one point was really much higher than they are now. So to say that you need to get rid of DEI programs, and you can speak about this a lot more because you do work in that space. For me, again, now that I work for a company that is not based in the United States, I have a whole different outlook on what diversity, equity, and inclusion means. And so people like Elon Musk unnerve me. They behoove me. They just annoy me because they have such a myopic view of what diversity, equity, and inclusion mean. So they hear DEI and they hear black and white. They hear you making white people feel bad about themselves. They hear, you want me to account for the sins of my father. That's what they hear. When at the end of the day, I'm like, there is so much to be said about diversity. People are differently abled. So when y'all sitting on these Zoom calls all day and you wonder if you consider a person to be aloof or not paying attention, everybody can't.
Some people have attention deficit.
Absolutely. Some people have attention deficit. That's not a disability that you would see necessarily. People are hard of hearing. You won't even put captions on the screen in a meeting. That's diversity. That's inclusion.
That's inclusion.
That's saying that I am going to consider the fact that
that's equity.
That's equity. It's all of those things. Now that I do sit on the side where the vast majority of people speak a different language than I do, I have been on a call, not unknowingly at the start of the call, where everybody is speaking in Chinese, and I'm like, wait, what we got? What am I supposed to be on this call? Kind of thing. And it's one of those things where even when people are speaking English, their experience of English is different than my experience of English, right? So it's harder for me to sometimes understand what they're saying. Now I'm in a position where I'm like, dang, I'm from Louisiana. And depending on who I'm talking to, some of that might come out. People have often said, we speak fast, and even in the movies, they'll portray people from Louisiana a certain way. And so folks like, I have to put the captions on the screen when I'm listening to such and such speak or what have you. But it put me in the mindset of, oh, wow, I should probably be more impeccable with my words, because there are people listening to me who English is not their native language. And they have when you think about it, if you're learning other languages, you don't always know the nuances. You don't get the colloquialisms. You don't get the slang. You have like a limited amount of sort of experience with those words. And so all those things are about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Making sure that, now in a lot of workplaces, if you go to workplaces, they've gone away from the male-female bathrooms and they just have gender-neutral bathrooms. which I don't think is a bad thing, because I'm like, at your house, you don't have a male stall and a female stall. People just go to the restroom or the toilet.
I don't understand how men even allow that shit to happen, that everybody's just peeing in front of each other. I mean, why did you ever accept that? Stop playing in our face. Just build some bathroom with some doors.
Right.
Period. Like there should just be bathrooms with doors. You go in, there's a bathroom with doors, there's some sinks, you go wash your hands. Like all
you should have literally the same sort of toilet that you have at your house with a sink in it. Like you can really build it.
Yeah.
The same way.
This whole thing about bathrooms with urinals, like I don't even understand why that was ever freaking acceptable.
Like it was, again, cost cutting, and people want to
exploit.
They want to get away with doing things in the cheapest ways possible.
It was dumb. It was dehumanizing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we also are grappling with in our culture. That's what we're grappling also with in our culture, is that a lot of things were dehumanizing. And just because we used to do it that way don't mean we need to keep doing it that way.
Right.
And to me, that is what diversity, equity, inclusion programs and understanding and thinking brings to bear. Just because we've always done something a certain way doesn't mean we have to continue to do it that way. And we can move towards a more, in the words of Catherine Drexel, the patron saint of Xavier University of Louisiana, a more just and humane society.
Yes.
We can move towards that if we choose to. We just have to choose to.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah. So so Elon Musk is trash, but he's
gonna stop. Let me tell you how y'all get him to stop playing in y'all face. Stop investing your dollars.
Right. I mean,
shut down your account.
And it's not good enough to say, yeah, but Tesla does well. I invested in Tesla and I made so much money off of the stock. That's not really.
There's other things you can invest in and make money.
And I know listen, capitalism on a macro level, it can be very problematic. So I'm not suggesting that there aren't issues with other companies, but sometimes, again, when somebody is repeatedly playing in your face, which Elon continues to do.
Donald Trump is continuing to play in your face. And the fact that some of you are ignoring how he's playing in your face.
Well, let me say this. I know this is a little off topic. I need to watch this CNN special about what happened to America's mayor, and it's about Rudy Giuliani. And
nothing happened to him. He's still who he always
exactly. Been. And what is fascinating to me, which I didn't see the whole of the documentary, but the pieces that I caught and the things that I heard are, that 9/11 mayor, if you will, was like
it created this patron saint that never existed. It's about a story.
Yes, it's about a story. He has been garbage. He has been a garbage human for a long time.
And a racist.
And this is, dare I say, a sexist and misogynist. All those things. And I think that's why he loves Donald Trump so much. Mm-hmm. Because
they grew up in the same
ilk. And Elon is right there with that. Yeah. So if you have questions about why these folks think or behave a certain way, they are, they're in love with power. They're power hungry and all of those things. But I think that documentary is absolutely done very well to show us that this ain't a fluke. This ain't just happened. There is historical evidence to show that these people are
who they say they
are. And
we have to choose.
Right. And we have to choose if a vehicle that has absolutely zero things on the panel, but they're all on a screen, where, like I was telling my niece yesterday, we were driving, I was allowing her to drive, and I was like, you have to be extra vigilant because there are so many distractions that people have. I said, people out here watching full episodes of stuff in these Teslas on this screen. and they watching television or putting their feet up. I literally saw this, and I'm not playing, putting their feet up on the dashboard and texting on the highway in Los Angeles, the 405 to be exact, while they're letting the car auto drive. And we've seen how the autopilot function works. So I'm just saying, you have to decide. I mean, it's a cool vehicle, sure, but there's other cool vehicles.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we need to be getting towards mass transit anyway and doing some other things.
Well, that again,
if we serious about climate, the environment and climate, because like you said, it's still 70, 80 degrees here in.
That's why I can't get into the Christmas spirit.
Cause you got your shirt on.
I do, but I'm still like, it's Christmas Eve, and it's hard. It's really, really hard, and I'm wondering, do kids feel it, or are they just really excited? Because for me, I'm like, it's so hot. It's so hot. But maybe they've never grown up with a white Christmas. So they think like this is the norm, and a white Christmas would be an anomaly.
Child, I do not.
But anyway, I got off topic. My point is, Elon Musk is garbage. Stop messing with him. Stop buying them vehicles.
And stop playing in our face, Elon.
Yes.
And we need to demand that they stop playing.
And we need to, we do need to have a conversation with this federal government about using taxpayer dollars to enrich this man who doesn't believe that equity for people who look like me is important, because it's reverse. You know, he one of them.
Oh yeah, reverse. But how many of them sit in Congress right now who believe that?
You're right.
How many of them sit in Congress who believe that right now? How in the hell are y'all gonna let George Santos make more money now that he like? Because literally, he's an entertainment now.
Right.
Stop playing in our face.
So can they? I mean, I thought they were supposed to be investigating him. So
he's been on interviews and all kind of stuff lately, and stop playing in our face.
I need to stay going.
Girl, listen. Anyway, all right. Last topic up for the evening, I think, and unless we have another diatribe or go on, you know what? Y'all been mighty quiet. If you're watching, anybody watching? Is anybody out there? Drop a comment. Say something. Say, hey, how you doing?
Possibly not, but that's okay.
Okay, yes. Join the conversation. I don't know. Anyway, the last topic of this evening is a young Mr. Jonathan Owens and his wife, Simone Biles. We all know Simone Biles. Clearly, Jonathan didn't know Simone Biles before we knew Simone Biles, but we know Simone Biles as the GOAT in gymnastics, right? She's the most highly decorated gymnast ever, and she's training right now to go back to the Summer Olympics in 2024 at 26 years of age. So if she does anything, any medal at that point, she still like cements her GOAT status. Her husband, not boyfriend, not fiance, but her husband was interviewed on the Pivot podcast. Love the Pivot podcast. Shout out to RC. He a Louisiana boy too. So shout out to Ryan Clark and the folks and at the Pivot podcast. And they talk about their origin story.
Yes.
That's a good way of saying they go into their origin story. He didn't know. So, because he was undrafted and now he's, playing, and he is, he was a journeyman in those first few years. His third year in the league, he's landing and he's finally starting to get it. He's on the Green Bay Packers now, what have you. And his talent is shining through. And he's starting to have success there. But it took him a while. It wasn't like he was a number one pick. And we know a lot of number one picks who ain't bust. Mm-hmm. Nonetheless, they talking about their origin story and how they met. And it was an app. And it was during the pandemic. And, she shot her shot. And really this whole thing about, who's the catch? That's been the thing. He said, yeah, he thought he was a catch, whatever. And he didn't know her. But when you watch it and you see, so many people have made so much out of it. Mm-hmm. Y'all need to stop playing in our face. And as I think it's Fred Taylor is his name, who's on the pad, he told them, y'all stop letting these MFers be in y'all relationship and talking about y'all. Simone, stop commenting to the people. Girl, you don't owe nobody nothing. Jonathan, you don't owe nobody nothing. You went, you interviewed, you told your origin story. Y'all have y'all story. You own your story. And, you know, you being the catch. Ryan threw that out there. Ryan was being messy.
Well, not
In a fun way.
Yeah, Ryan was being a Louisianan. He was being a Southern Louisianan. He was being from right down the street, around the corner.
From Destrehan.
It's I thought he was from Hornville. He from Destrehan, one of the places. Yeah, some St. Charles Parish.
St. Charles Parish.
Listen, he was doing what we would do if we had been sitting in that same conversation, and that young man was like, "Well, you know, I really didn't know who she was.
I didn't know about gymnastics.
This is Ryan Clark's reaction." Okay, we would have did the same thing. You ain't know Simone Biles. And then he's like, no, really, I was training. I was in college. I didn't have NBC. I didn't have, what have you. So,
and he was in college.
And I got on this this site because of my friend knew I was single at the time. I got on this site, and I'm always baffled that there are these things that are for celebrities that we never know about, like a whole healthcare system that's completely different, but I digress. But he was talking about being on this podcast and this platform that you have to prove you are.
You have to go through some levels.
Right. Because you got to prove you are who you say you are. So he's like, I got on it, and I saw her, and she had a lot of followers, right? So again, Ryan is like, and he's like, so then, I didn't say anything. And then I came back and she was like, hey. And he was like, I still didn't say anything. I let it, simmer or whatever. But then he went on ahead and, started messing. He liked her profile, I guess.
Well, she corrected him. She was like, we had already met. I was just the first to message. You had already looked at my profile and liked it. Boom.
Right. She did. She did correct him on that. But in his narrative, he liked her profile after she had already said hey or whatever. And then it said that they were a match. So Ryan is like, so what you're saying is, you're the prize here.
You're the catch.
You're the catch. So, and it was funny to me because that's exactly what I would do. Like,
He said, so you saying Simone Biles lucky to have you.
Right. And yes, he kept
egging it on.
Kept egging it on in a way that I feel like maybe I don't know how other people do it, but that's exactly how I would have done it in that same way. Because it was funny, but it was also, you could see he was trying to search for the right way of positioning it. But when somebody push your back against the wall in that way, it's really like not a right way to position it. Because
he was like, yeah, I'm a catch.
And he says, yeah, I'm a catch. He didn't necessarily like, I'm the catch. But then Ryan goes on to be like, so basically, Simone Biles is lucky to have you, and so he just continued to egg it on. At the end of the day,
at the end of the day,
and the beginning,
and the beginning,
and in the middle,
all day long, leave these 26 and 28-year-olds who are married
and
navigating their life and their relationship and in the age of social media
and their careers. So now he is, and I'm sure there were critics who said that she, Simone Biles said at the end of the thing, like she hopes to get to the point where instead of him being Simone Biles' husband, she's Jonathan Owens' wife. Well, I'm sure there are those who have something to say.
And that will happen if his career goes on, because we know at 26, she's already pushing the limit as a gymnast of what her gym career will be.
Right.
Now, what she goes on and does with it, and I think she owns a gym and all the different things that she'll do. But that Olympian life, they still will always be who they are, will be gold medalists, and will have that with her. But the notoriety starts to go, it dims.
But I think she'll still, I think it like,
it dims. It dims until the next one comes on.
But what's old boy with the dread saying? you a good safety and you really doing well. But I don't think you ever gonna be as good as this little on this when it comes to this gymnastics.
Yeah.
So I do. I mean, so I don't know that she will ever be Jonathan Owens' wife in that regard. But the point is, they're super young. They are navigating this. I'm sure it's very hard because depending on where she trains, and like you said, he plays for Green Bay. There's a lot of different dynamics there.
Yeah.
And they both want to still be whole human beings and have their own respective careers. And they have to navigate that through now the lens of marriage. I'm sure if they like any other person who's ever gotten married, then the next question is like, well, when y'all having a baby? And all
that
of
girl
those
is training for the Olympics. Okay.
So
she ain't having one no time soon.
All that being said, middle day, beginning of the day, end of the day, all day. Stay out them people marriage, stay out them people business. Because a lot of folks coming and ain't got a husband or a wife.
And why can't I always tell my sister she's the prize, and I do, and yes, I think that he believes that his wife is a prize. They were trying to contort it into something negative, like I said, right, pitting us against each other, or it's like they tried to contort it into something that it wasn't, from clips and not sitting and watching the full interview, or even considering that, okay, these are two young people just starting out, right? And so she was caping for her man, he was caping for his woman, and allowed them to do that and be in that space, and stop playing in our faces about these relationships and relationship advice when you're not qualified and or competent in giving it.
Well, and
that needs to stop here, because there's been so many freaking internet celebrities on this advice crap. Well, also, who are giving people bad information, bad, wrong, unhealthy, toxic.
Y'all let Derek Jackson tell y'all all kinds
Let
of
Derek
stuff,
Jackson, Kevin Samuels. You even let Jada Pinkett Smith talk about being on her healing journey, why it's been so destructive and toxic. Okay, just stop it. Stop playing in our face.
I just wanted to say, I was saying about Derek Jackson because he legitimately cheated and then had his wife sit up there and put on this show to attempt to pretend to be solid, and then now has come back as if he don't understand why he can't find a woman. And it's like, are you serious? Stop playing in our face. Like you can't find a woman because you've proven yourself to be a garbage individual. Now maybe you can redeem yourself, but right now you don't look like, if you literally are asking that question, then it doesn't sound like the redeeming work is being done,
or that you have learn or even understand the impact of your own behavior.
Right. But back to Jonathan and Simone, y'all criticized these two very young people from the very beginning. I mean, down to their ceremony, and how the exorbitant amounts of money that they have and should have been spending on a wedding instead of just going to like the courthouse or whatever. You talked about this girl's hair all the time, talking about her hair, and it begs to question, why are we so miserable that we delight in other people's in trying to tear other people down?
Say that again.
Why are people so miserable that they delight in trying to tear other people down? And why do we build people up? Because everybody was loving Simone Biles. She was the greatest. And like, why do you build them up?
And as soon as she said, you know what, I'm not able to do this, I'm having a little, my mind is not.
She was getting the twisties.
And they just decided to lambast.
Right.
She's not helping America. She's this. What the hell? Stop it. Stop playing in our face. We owe you nothing. They owe you nothing. Mm-hmm. And that's that. So in our last few minutes, sister, let's do our Christmas toast. We have our little libation. Cheers. What is your wish for this Christmas?
I just wish we would embrace what Christmas is really about. Not about the gift giving or what have you. And certainly not even as we were talking about in Sunday school, the expressing the light of Jesus. And that doesn't mean that you have to necessarily be a follower of Christ to respect and understand the teachings of Christianity. Because at the end of the day, I truly believe if you look across all of our religious organizations, are at the core, they're trying to all teach us the whole same things. And it's like to be good humans.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wish if we could just get that part. Like, just can we be good humans? Can we not? Or can we be slow to anger? Can we love our neighbors as ourselves, but love ourselves as God loved the church, and love, God, and put no other gods before? Like, can we just do some of the basic, I don't know, living in peace and harmony, finding joy every day, and gratitude, and just letting our light so shine before men that they see our good works,
Mm-hmm.
And glorify our Father in heaven. Like, if we just do the basics of being good humans, that's my hope for and wish for this Christmas. Like, I don't want to turn on the news and hear no drama.
Well, my hope is similar, is that we recognize, and I'll say it over and over again, our shared humanity.
Yes.
And that we, as you said, first love ourselves enough that we're able to love others as they need to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
And if we let love lead all the time, we can't go wrong. So with that,
Cheers. And good night.
Good night, everybody.
Merry